We're going to begin our unit on fractions. This is going to go over lessons 1 through 3. So hopefully you've already done at least one of the Zern lessons so that you can kind of see what we're doing with fractions. If you haven't, it's not the biggest deal, but hopefully after we do this video and lesson, you'll know what to do and can kind of sail right through those. All right, so you're going to need this page. It says problem set 3. But I'm going to show you a couple of things before we work on that, and then we're going to do a little bit more than what it says. So don't try to just go ahead and think, oh, I've got everything that needs to be on there, because it doesn't tell you everything. So one of the things, and this is one of the reasons I kind of pushed them all together, is that we're going to look at ways that we can add fractions together. Okay, so if you look at this, how many parts do I have? 3. There's 3 parts. Is that the numerator or the denominator? Denominator. That's how many parts I can have. And then whatever is shaded in, that's how many I do have, and that's my numerator. So how many are shaded in? 2. All right, so we're going to look at how can we write this? How can we put this besides just showing you have 2/3. So anytime it tells you to do something with the sum, it means you're going to add them. Okay, so if it says model this with the sum of unit fractions, SUM, it means add them together. So how many do I have right here? If that one wasn't there, I have 1 out of 3. So I have 1/3 plus 1/3 equals 2/3, okay? What I want you to notice is that it's just simple addition. That's all we're doing. 1 plus 1 is 2. What doesn't change is the denominator, because this is 1 out of 3 plus 1 out of 3 means I still have 2 out of 3. My denominator is going to stay the same when I add and subtract, as long as the denominators were already the same as each other, okay? Don't worry about when they're different yet. We'll get to that eventually. But when they're the same and you're adding or subtracting, that never changes, all right? So let's look at one more really quickly, one that maybe isn't quite so easy. Now, even though I have some shaded in, how many total parts do I have? I have 5. Numerator or denominator? That's my denominator. Okay? How many do I have shaded in? 4. So let's look at some different ways that we could add this. I could write it in different ways. I can say I have 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5. It's really repetitive. Equals how many fifths? 2, 3, 4. 4/5. I can decompose that any way I want. I could say I have 1/5 plus, there's my 1. How many more do I have? 3/5. And that equals 4/5. Are there any other ways I could write it? Pause for about 30 seconds. See if you can figure them out or figure any other ways out, and then push play. I could write that I have 1/5 plus 2/5 plus 1/5, and that still equals 2, 3, 4/5. I can write it however I want to, as long as when you add them all up, add all those numerators, it still equals what I have. All right? So let's try that. I want you to use your problem set. Okay? Don't worry about what it says. It says something about multiplication on there. We're going to get to that, but I don't want to do that first. All right? You also have to look really well at the shading Shading is really light on there. Okay, so look at letter A. They show you, if you look real close, that they have 3/4 shaded. You probably can't see very well on the video, but you can see on your paper. So they showed you that they could add it using 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. I want you off to the side to figure out another way, another addition sentence that you could write it, and then check with mine. All right, so push pause, do that quickly. I didn't write fast enough, and I did not push pause. All right, so I'll give you an extra second. I wrote 2/4 plus 1/4 equals 3/4. All right, so we're going to practice with those. We're going to make sure we know exactly how many are shaded in on here. So the first thing I want to show you before we do that is, do you see this bracket showing 1? They're showing you that if you had all of those shaded in, that would be a full 1. So let's just say this is a full candy bar, but it's broken up into how many pieces? 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. So if you get all 4 out of 4 pieces, you have 1 full candy bar. All right, so let's look at letter B. There's 2 shaded there, so I want you to shade that in so you can see it. Letter C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 shaded. Shade that in quickly. Look at my shading. It's not neat, as in everything's shaded in, but it's not messy. It's not all over the paper. Just kind of a scribble inside to see. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are shaded in on letter D. And then don't worry about letter E yet. We're not to that one. Okay, so what I want you to do is pause the video. And what you're going to do is write at least 2 addition sentences for each one. Don't use up all the room, because you are going to need some room for multiplication later. So maybe off to the side, let's do the addition. Write neatly so you can see it. But write at least 2 addition sentences. One that's easy is to just do 1 out of how many there are, plus 1, plus 1, plus 1, plus 1, as many as you need to equal up to how many are shaded. Okay, that's 1. And then see if there's any other way in order to make an addition sentence with the fractions, the unit fractions, that equal what you have shaded. Push pause and do that, and then check it with mine. Okay, let's check them. I did not write down every combination, so if you don't have one of mine, that's totally fine, unless you only have one. If you only have one addition sentence, then you need to take one of mine that you don't have to add to yours. But if you have a different one, as long as it adds up to what we have shaded, yours is right. All right, so let's look at letter B. There are 2/5. I did 1/5 plus 1/5 equals 2/5. This one's a little bit harder to have a lot of extras, but I put 2/5 plus 0/5. I didn't add anymore, equals 2/5. Okay, now just look at it quickly. If this is in any way difficult to you, take off those denominators for a minute. What are we doing? 2 plus 0 equals 2. 1 plus 1 equals 2. We're just finding different ways to make an addition sentence. That part is easy. I want you to see that it's the same thing. All right, right here we have 5 out of 6 shaded. So I did the easy one, although it's easy, it's not fun to write. 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 equals 5/6. I also did 2/6 plus 2/6 plus 1/6 equals 5/6. 3/6 plus 3/6 equals 5/6. All I'm doing is making addition sentences. Okay, part D, excuse me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 7, 8. 6, 7, 8. There's 8 boxes. I have 6 of them shaded. So I did the boring one, the long one. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 6. 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 equals 6/8. I did 3/8 plus 3/8 equal 6/8. 2/8 plus 2/8 plus 2/8 equals 6/8. All of those are correct, and if you had something different, as long as it equaled up to how many we have shaded, you have it correct. Wonderful job. All right, so go ahead and set that down very quickly. I'm going to show you how we can do it with multiplication. All right, so we're going to practice just a little bit, and then we're going to flip it over and do a little bit more with it. All right, so if I'm going to use part C. All right, so go back to that one. I'm going to write it down here. There are how many boxes shaded? Should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes shaded. So it looks like this. We said there are 5 1/6 that equals 5/6. All right. Well, you know from when you first learned multiplication that repeated addition can be changed into something easier. I don't have to write that over and over. I can multiply. How many 1/6 do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can write it as 5 times, what do I have? 5 of 1/6 equals 5/6. Okay? I can write that and show you, hey, it's just the same right here. 5 1/6 equals 5/6. All right? Now, I don't want you to think that when we go to do multiplication that this is exactly how it is. There are some other steps, but all we're doing right here is just showing you, hey, I have a whole number. I have these. Like, think of it like its own box in there. Boop. How many do I have? I don't like rewriting those over and over and over. Repeated addition is the same as multiplication. 5 times 1/6 equals 5/6. Okay, so let's do letter B together. Okay. I do want to show you. I missed this part because I'm not used to writing it like this. Look at on letter A. How they wrote theirs. They used 2 equal signs. Oop, they didn't. I'm sorry. They did theirs backwards of what I did. That's all. I didn't look at it fast enough. They did 5/6 equals 5 times 1/6. Either way, it still equals the same thing. All right, so let's look at letter B quickly. You have how many 1/5? 2 of them. We said our fraction right here is 2/5. And that equals how many are shaded? 2 times, what's our fraction? 1/5. Okay, I want you to do letter C and do letter C. I did, but do it again on your own. Make sure you understand it. And letter D, and then come back to the video and check it. Okay, let's check them. So letter C, you should have had 5/6 equals, how many 1/6 do you have? 5. 5 times 1/6. And then letter D, we have 6/8 there. That equals 6 times 1/8. Okay, you can see that it's the same as your repeated addition. Just turn that into a multiplication problem. All right? If you're not quite getting it as fast as you're hoping, that's what the Zern lessons are for. So we're going to keep practicing. We're going to practice more with the multiplication on the back, but do lessons 1 through 3 on Zern, and that will really help you to practice it and to see it more than just printed on the paper. All right, so let's look at letter E. They're showing you all these boxes. Well, they show you 4 boxes. However, this is a tape diagram, and what they're showing you is this right here equals 1. So how many equal 1? 1, 2, 3. They have 3 shaded out of 3 that are there. So next to 1, I want you to write 3/3. That's what equals 1. Okay, so what they did is they took another 1/3 and put it there. So how many do they have? right here. They have 4, but the boxes are supposed to be split into thirds. So they have a total of 4 thirds. Okay, now I'm going to tell you a word. We don't need it quite yet. We won't use it a lot, and you won't see it on these papers yet or in Zern, but I want you to know this. This is called an improper fraction. I am in front of proper. Improper. That means that's not correct. I'm not supposed to have a larger number in the numerator than I do in the denominator. And we'll work with those later, but I want to show you this, and we'll follow along with the way they're showing you so you understand it a little bit better before we really get to that. But improper just means I have more than one. Okay, so it means like maybe Miss Rasmussen had 2 candy bars. Well, she already ate some because Miss Rasmussen loves candy bars. I cut the other one up into 3 pieces. I cut the first one up into 3 pieces, but I already ate some of those pieces. There's only 1/3 left. So when I put them together, how many do I have? I have 4 thirds. I have a whole candy bar and 1/3 of another candy bar. That's what I have. All right? So what we're going to do right now, when they're showing us this, we're going to write it as an addition sentence. Okay? So I can write 1/3 4 times over. I can have 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 equals 4 thirds. I can do that. How else could I write it? I could write 2 thirds plus 2 thirds equals 4 thirds. Write that one down. 2 thirds plus 2 thirds equals 4 thirds. How many thirds equal this whole one candy bar? 3 thirds. I could do 3 thirds plus 1/3 equals 4 thirds. Okay? There's still different ways to write that. Let's try it as a multiplication problem. If I did right here, 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3, how many 1/3s is that? 4. So I could say 4 thirds equals, write this down, 4 times 1/3. Okay, now I'm going to do another one. This might get a little confusing, but it's okay. I want you to see it. I want you to practice it on Zern, and then when we get a little further with it, you'll know what to do. I can do multiplication plus multiplication. I can do multiplication plus addition if I want to. So I could say, hey, there's 3 thirds right here. So I could do 3 times 1/3. I'm going to put that in parentheses because that says do this first, do that all together. Plus, what do I have left here? What's left over from my other candy bar? 1/3. And what does that equal? If I have 3 1/3, 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3, and then I add my other 1/3, that equals 4 thirds. All right? Don't get frustrated if you're not getting it quite at the beginning. It's just practice. We're just going to see it different ways until it clicks. All right? So let's take a look at the back. Okay, so it says, number 2, write the following fractions greater than 1 as the sum of 2 products. So I want you to circle the word that tells you if we're going to add, subtract, multiply, or divide. Find it? It's sum. S-U-M means I have to add because sum is the is the answer to an addition problem. Okay? So if this is 1, what are these broken into? There's 3 of them. So it's 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 equals 3 thirds. Okay? So you're going to write an addition sentence there to show that we have how many thirds? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 thirds. That's what it has to equal. I want you to write a couple of addition problems to equal 5 thirds. And then on this one, don't get confused that these are empty. They're telling you, write one for this whole thing. Okay? So act as if they're all shaded. And if that bothers you, then shade them in. Okay, what about this one? How many makes 1 here? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 equals 4/4. But how many fourths do we really have? There's 4, 5, 6. I want you to pause the video and try to write 2 addition problems for each. All right, let's look at them. You can do the easy, but kind of repetitive, where you do 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 equals 5/3. You could also do 3/3 plus 2/3, and that all equals 5/3. Did you come up with any other ones? If so, put a thumb up, and then just show your partner real fast, like 10 seconds, show them what you found. Okay, look at letter D. We said these are broken into fourths because this candy bar, look, full candy bar, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter what it is, it just looks like a candy bar to me, was broken into fourths. So 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4, and then here's some extras, plus 1/4 plus 1/4 equals 6/4. I can add that together any way I want. 3/4 plus 3/4 equals 6/4, or I could take it 4/4, that equaled my 1, plus 2/4 equals 6/4. All right? So now let's look at the bottom. The bottom says draw a tape diagram. That's what these are. Just draw it out. And record the given fractions decomposition. That's a big word to say breaking apart. How we're breaking it down into unit fractions as a multiplication sentence. Okay, so they're saying, we're not giving you this. You draw it. So 4/5. How many little boxes do I need across? Look at your denominator. 5. Draw. Now, if that gets too hard, sometimes I have a hard time breaking them up the right way, then just draw one box at a time. I have 5 boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many need to be shaded? How many out of the 5? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 have to be shaded. Okay? This time they don't want you to do the addition sentence. So how am I going to make that into a multiplication problem? Each box is 1/5. How many 1/5s do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I know that 4/5 equals 4, what symbol I'm using, times, what's one of these? 1/5. I have 4 of them right here. Here's 1/5, here's 1/5, here's 1/5, here's 1/5. When I multiply those 4 1/5s, I get 4/5. Okay, I want you to pause the video, ask any questions you have, and try letter B with a partner. And then I want you to play the video and let's check it before we go on. All right, how did you and your partner do? Did you draw 8 boxes across and shade in 5 of them? We know that each one of these boxes is 1/8, 1/8, 1/8, 1/8, 1/8. How many do I have? 5 of them. So 5 times 1/8 equals 5/8. Great. All right, do letter C by yourself. You're going to pause, do letter C on your own, and then let's play the video and check it before we go on to D and E. All right, let's see how you did. Look what I did, especially because I don't love drawing so much. I took my line out to where I knew I had 8, and then just added one more box and tried to sort of copy down in order to draw them. It's okay that they are not perfect or that I don't measure them out because it's just a tape diagram. It's mine so I can see it. I know that I have a total of how many boxes? 9. That's my denominator. And how many did I shade in? 7. So right here, say it with me. 1/9, 1/9, 1/9, 1/9, 1/9, 1/9, 1/9. How many 1/9ths do I have? 7. So 7/9 equals 7 times 1/9. Okay? Great job. I want you to pause. Oops. Not true. I just looked at D and E. I thought they were going to be just as simple. Look at what's different about D and E. What kind of fractions do we call those? Improper, because the numerator is larger than the denominator. Very good. So when you go to draw this, you have to show how many makes 1. Okay, so you're going to have to draw 4 and show that makes 1, and then add how many more blocks on? 3 more to make 7/4. Very good. All right, and then you'll write that as a multiplication problem. Multiplication problem does not change because I'm still going to have how many colored in? 7. How many 1/4 am I going to have? 7. All right, so now pause it and do that, and then check it with mine. Only do letter D. All right, let's check it. You should have 4 that you put a little bracket there to show this is 1. This is 1 full candy bar. Okay, I broke it into 4 pieces. That's 1 full. And then, how many more 1/4 are there? 1, 2, 3. 4 plus 3 equals 7. I have 7/4. Okay? Now my multiplication problem says 7, I'm reading it backwards. 7 times 1/4. Count my 1/4 pieces. 1 1/4, 2 1/4, 3 1/4, 4 1/4, 5 1/4, 6 1/4, 7 1/4. Very good. All right. So now I want you to do letter E. I'll pause it, or you pause it. Do letter E and then check it quickly. All right, let's see how you did. You should have them broken into 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those 6 equals 1. Mine's getting kind of out of room there. All right, and then we added another 1 6. So how many 1 6 do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 6 equals 7 times, each one of these is 1 6. Great job. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to finish lessons on Zearn, lessons 1, 2, and 3, because I really want you to have the practice with that. Going from just repeated addition to how can I add them differently to multiplying, okay? Once you have finished lessons 1, 2, and 3, you are going to get the exit ticket. Looks like this. Show you better like this. Side 2 looks like this. You're going to have to draw something and record. And then side 3 looks like this. You're going to get those. You're going to finish those, and then you're going to get them corrected or be given something to correct it yourself quickly right afterwards. The whole point by the time you get to this is to show you know how to do it. If you don't know how to do that, that's not a problem. All it does is shows us, hey, you need a little more practice. We'll give you something that you can practice with, or try it out with some blocks or something different, not just drawing it, to see if that will help you. Remember a couple of your words that you need to be watching for on Zearn also. So one is decomposition, okay? So think of nothing to do with math. Like compost is where people take all their leftover food and put it into a box or like a barrel or something outside, and it just goes in there and it decomposes. It gets broken down into smaller pieces. That's what decomposition is in math. What can I take that's whole and break it apart? So think of that candy bar, and now I'm breaking it apart into different pieces. Okay, that's all that is, so don't get scared by that word. If it says sum, you know that you're going to add. How is sum spelled if I'm going to add? S-U-M. Very good. How is sum spelled if I just have some papers left to do? S-O-M-E. That's different, okay? So don't get fooled by that. If it tells you like this, record the given fractions decomposition. How did you break it apart? Into unit fractions. It's just the fractions you're using. Each one of these, 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3, as a multiplication sentence. You know how to do that. We just did it. So watch for those so you know what to do. All right? Go be your very, very best. Do lessons 1, 2, 3 and your exit ticket, and then check it out. Get it corrected so you know. Do you have it, or do you need a little bit more practice before we move on? All right, go be awesome.